Thank you. Thank you. I'll be here all night. Who am I? What am I doing here? Am I a fly on the wall? Or am I the voice of some all-knowing being? Well, I'm neither and both. I'm the unreliable narrator, shaky at best. I have a tendency to distort things, kind of like time. Between two sides is where any good story lives. Between the lines. Is this a true story? Does it really matter? A story is a story. We're amused, we learn a little, sometimes both. Maybe you'll see yourself up here, or somebody you know, maybe even me. This is a tale. A fairy tale of two brothers separate and separated. Once upon a time! Well, isn't that always how fairy tales begin? Once upon a time, in a far-off land, long, long ago. It's okay to laugh. There were two cute little boys.
Boys, time for bed.
When we were little, we had to share a bed. Get off! Get on your side of the bed! Little brothers are so fucking annoying.
It was cold and he was warm. There was nothing sexual about it. He was my big brother. I wanted to be like him, to touch him, to be close.
They did things boys do. Being of a certain socioeconomic class, moving from apartments to homes, they shared a room for years.
What are you doing? I don't care if it's your room too. The door was closed. Don't you ever knock? Get out, you queer!
Unusual word choice, eh? I wonder what he meant by that.
You're the one who's queer!
What are parents to do with squabbling children? Dad was mostly absent, physically and emotionally, but Mom knew what was what. To most people, she was the nicest person they knew. First, she asked the older one what he meant by that word.
Queer means strange or unusual.
That's not what you meant.
Well, look at him, Mom. Look at what he was doing. Look at what he's wearing.
She saw something she didn't like, and she was going to wash it out.
When my mom washed my mouth out with soap, I knew she hated me. She hated me for who I was and for what she saw me becoming, and she wanted to change it. It was only the beginning.
He's weird. Everybody knew. Mom and Dad knew, even if they never said anything. I knew. Why'd I have to have him for my brother? Couldn't I just have a normal kid for a little brother? Jeez.
There was this time when I wouldn't eat my dinner. They made me sit at the table until I cleaned my plate. I sat there for 5 hours, it's true. Finally, at about 11 o'clock, Mom came down and tried to force feed me a hot dog. That's right. Oh, the symbolism.
I have one Here.
No, thank you. I'm a vegetarian.
Upward mobility leads to separate bedrooms, and for these characters, it meant an uneasy truth, punctuated by
Privacy. Finally, I had my own space.
I don't care about your stupid sign. I'll just go into your room and break stuff.
boys, boys, boys! Boys will be boys. That's what people say, right? It's the way we excuse a lot of behavior, a lot of things that might otherwise draw attention or scorn. Mom never seemed to be too upset about the violence of the older one.
Something snapped in me that day. I gave my brother a black eye by throwing him down a flight of stairs. Luckily, that's all it was. Could have been much worse. What was I thinking? Sure, we'd fought in the past, a lot. But this was a whole new level. I realized I could really hurt him. I had this anger about things that had been done to me, and I took it out on him. I realized at that moment that it wasn't fair. I needed to make it stop. I had to say, no, this stops with me.
There comes a time when young people break away from family. I did it, you did it, or maybe you're going to. We put some geographical distance between, and that either leads to an emotional distance, or sometimes that has the opposite effect, pulling people closer together. When the big break comes, they get as far away from that foreign country known as the Midwest. Like any layabout, the older one wanted to be a musician. I mean, he was a child of the 90s, sex, drugs, grunge music. Of course, he moved to Seattle. The younger one wanted acceptance, respectability, commitment, a family. He moved to New York. One liked routine, the other variety.
With sports, I practiced and got better. Mano y mano. And I can beat you. With music, it wasn't like that at all. I had to make certain sacrifices.
Life was good. I had a good job, a nice place to live, security. That's what mattered to me. Sure, I had to make certain sacrifices.
The funny thing is, they both desperately wanted approval, just in different ways. By this time, they'd figured out they'd never get the approval of their family. They each went on separate paths.
I like women. I like the way they smell. I like the way they move. Do I respect them? I don't know. A woman gave me one of these. I said, what? I'm not wearing that.
For him, let's call it La Vida Loca. Crazy, thoughtless, careless.
I lived with Craig for 8 years. He was an interior designer. Well, wannabe interior designer. We bought beautiful things together. He cheated on me and put me at risk. It was time for a change in my life.
For him, let's call it desperate housewives, but scary. They lived in a time when irresponsible sexual behavior meant potentially spreading a deadly disease. Oh, wait, I said this was a fairy tale set long, long ago. My bad. I warned you, I was an unreliable narrator.
I don't know why. My first thought was to call my brother. He had told me he had started seeing a therapist.
He told me he didn't think I ever had any problems.
I called to tell him about my plan to move to Seattle.
My therapist said I should
speak
start
with me about
speaking
something.
honestly with my brother, so I
He
tried.
told me that our uncle had molested him for several years. It wasn't until that time when he threw me down the stairs that he realized he had the power to stop it.
He asked me, why are you telling me this? Because you're my brother, because I feel guilty that Uncle Bill might have done the same thing to you. At that point, he clammed up, said he had to get off the phone. I felt like I'd struck a nerve.
My sexual discoveries with Uncle Bill were none of his business. He was saying it was sexual abuse. That there was a power involved. Manipulation by an adult. I didn't see it that way in my case. We haven't talked about it since then.
Everybody has their own story, right? Who do you believe? Everybody has their own story, and it certainly takes different ways to find yourself sexually. Hold on. Just 1 minute here. Okay, for one, anytime an adult is using a child for sexual pleasure, that's abuse. No two ways around it. Where are those lines? Is this one? When is it an adult taking advantage of a child? Power. It's about power and control. Choice is a factor, but it's really about power. Why are men so afraid of feminine power? What is it about soft that is threatening to hard men? Let's get back to the brothers who are struggling with this.
I moved to Seattle. We were living in the same city for the first time in 12 years.
It was actually kind of nice having him around. We started to talk more. It got easier. He's my brother. That's what matters.
I asked if he'd go with me to the clinic. We both agreed that we needed to take the test.
Waiting took fucking forever.
Waiting always takes fucking forever, duh.
Faggots!
Once upon a time, in a far-off land, long, long ago,